Hi Luke, how are things?
Hi, how are you? All good, thanks.
Great. Just interested to get some insight into the feeling around the camp when the lads came home from that historic tour in New Zealand.
Yeah.
What sort of a boost, what sort of an impact did that have on the squad when they came back?
Well, firstly, as I kind of just watching on as a supporter, it was incredible to watch, especially how well the lads attacked against New Zealand, and they pulled them apart at times, and it was probably the lift we needed when they kind of came back. We obviously had a disappointing ending to last season, so it was nice to watch the lads do so well over New Zealand, and when they came back, they were obviously on such a buzz, so it kind of lifted the whole place, and we were able to get stuck into training then on a positive note.
I know that your primary objective is obviously focusing on the start of the URC campaign with Leinster, but is it something that at the start of the season you set down goals for yourself that you'd like to achieve over the course of the year, and if so, is getting another Ireland call-up on that list for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone, would sit down individually and make, goals for themselves for the season. We do that. We definitely do it collectively as a team, but I would do it individually. And I would absolutely, love another Irish cap. But I know the only way that's going to happen is if I'm playing well with Leinster here. And that's been my focus, trying to get better as a player all pre-season, and hopefully get a good start to this season here individually, and so I can help the team out.
Man, good luck.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hi, Aisling here from Off the Ball. How are you?
Hi, Aisling. Good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm good, thank you. How has pre-season been so far?
It's been great. Very tough, to be honest. It's nice to be able to get into games now. It's great to get into a game week that we have a match ahead of us now. All the fitness is done, thankfully, and lads are just buzzing to get into it.
I was asking Leo about Declan Darcy,
Yeah.
the new performance coach, and what he's added to the setup. What do you think he's brought to the setup?
He's been brilliant. He sat down with the leadership group a few times. He's just brought new ideas. The way he would see the game. He obviously has a massive football background, and the way he kind of sees the professional sport mentally, if you like. And he's been able to give us kind of good triggers. He's been in watching training all the time. Good mental triggers to kind of be able to focus, things like that, and I'm sure he's going to have a massive impact on us individually and collectively for the rest of the season.
And just on last season, did you sit down as a whole, as a group, to sort of talk through where things went wrong, or I suppose why you weren't as successful as you would have liked to have been? Was it a thing that you all sat together and sort of said a few home truths and sort of... Yeah.
No, exactly. I think we end up coming in on the Monday and the Tuesday after the Bulls game, which was pretty a difficult couple of days. It was a very honest conversations we had with ourselves about the Bulls game and the La Rochelle game, to be fair. It was such a disappointing ending to it. What could have been an amazing season, it wasn't. So there were some pretty tough 2 days, but it was important to do those 2 days and go through the games and be honest with ourselves. We were able to park it then, go off, have a summer break, and then be able to start the season a bit fresher. But we're probably going to be referencing those games for the next couple of months, just trying to get better as a team and make sure that doesn't happen again.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. Best of luck to the season ahead.
Thanks, Aisling. Cheers. Jared, sorry, I can't hear you there.
Oh, sorry,
I have you there, yeah.
Hardy here from the line out. Listen, just wondering, the URC is quite a long competition, and maybe some of the key games are the ones where you're travelling to South Africa. How much importance will there be on maybe the only team to win down South Africa, I think if I remember right, was Connacht this year, so there'll be a bit of emphasis, I think, on maybe getting results down there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm actually not. I'm not even sure when we're in South Africa this year now, to be honest with you. But we're just trying to focus on one game at a time, as the old cliche is. We're trying to get off to a good start. But yeah, we know how difficult it is to travelling to South Africa. Like you say, I think only one team won last year. It's a huge challenge, and yeah, it's definitely something that we need to learn how to do, is to win in South Africa.
And also, just in relation to last year in the quarter-final against Glasgow. Leinster had a big win the following week. Coming in against
the Bulls. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think winning the quarter-final quite easily had any impact on the remaining game?
Yeah, possibly. I don't. Maybe possibly mentally without kind of knowing it, maybe. But I don't know. It's hard to say, but it felt like it was just one of those days against the Bull games where we weren't clicking at all. There was a lot of stuff we could have done better. We definitely weren't nearly as accurate as we were in the Glasgow game, for example. And it was a difficult, match to take. We never like losing in the RDS, so it was very disappointing. But there was little things in that game where we could have won. We could have won those little moments, which would have had an effect on the results. But unfortunately, it didn't. It just means that we kind of come in this summer, working hard, trying to get better, and we're definitely hungry to try and get some silverware this year.
Okay, thanks, and good luck next Saturday.
Thanks, Jared. Cheers.
Time for a couple more if there is any. No, all good.
Thanks, guys.
Perfect. How are things? How are you on?
Good, Joe. Looking forward to a game.
Good to be back.
Yeah, we'll be back a while, so good to be back at proper games is the big thing. So pre-season can be at times quite an artificial time because everyone's training away, and obviously guys come back at different stages, but it's the proper action, the week to week grind of the games that people enjoy. Pitting yourself against the best teams that are out there. So looking forward to getting going now.
Just something that I was interested in. It was a disappointing end to last season. In order to prepare for this season, is that something that you addressed within the group in order to kind of park it, or was it let's just take the learnings from that and move on and crack on?
Well, a bit of both, yeah. Because if you look back, so we lose in the final, you get right down to the last play, you go through that cycle. Like again, it was a short turnaround. We played the following week in a quarter final. You get through that, then you lose in the semi-final the week after that. So, we review all those games like we normally would. So, as a coaching group, you go away, you review the season, and we've worked on lots of different things during the course of the season. So, and that's really, you've got to move on to the next thing. That's what we get judged on as our next game, isn't it? And sport moves on incredibly fast, as you can see, with lots of other sports out there as well. We've changed a few things. A few people leave at the end of every season, like we talked about at the end of last season. So the group never stays the same season to season. So a few people have moved on. We've a few new fresh faces in as well. I said we've tried to work hard during the course of the pre-season. Start of the season is always lots of moving parts with players coming back in at different stages, particularly off the back of when there's a tour. So again, some guys just get managed a little bit differently individually. Everyone's kind of rare to go now at this point in time. Just a few things, the way we do things, as I said, some different voices in the mix as well, which is positive. So the group is ever evolving, hopefully in a positive direction. But definitely, you lose at the end of last season, and it has a bit of a sort of a hollow sense through that holiday period and into the early part of pre-season. So it's important that we understand how we can improve, look to improve as a group. But regardless, whether we won or obviously we finished the season by losing a couple of playoff games, it would be the same off the back of winning. So it certainly off the back of losing definitely does sharpen the focus, I think, coming into a new season, because we've got a block of 7 games where we just have to battle out for every single point that we can, and try and leave ourselves in best possible shape for when the break happens in November, and then try and pick up off the back of those November internationals then.
One final one for me. Sean O'Brien's part of the setup this season. How much of an impact has he had already?
He brings real presence, I think, to the group straight away. His power of his personality. He's been good straight in, not shy, just getting involved straight away, which has been great. Adds a huge amount of experience. Bit of time away, I think. Obviously he's followed closely what's gone on here. So he's he's got that critical eye, I guess. So no, he's been a good addition to the group. Great voice, and yeah, I think he's a bright future in coaching.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Liam.
Pleasure.
Hi Leo, Ashling here from Off the Ball. How are you?
Great, thanks, Ashling. Yeah.
Good. You have a new performance coach in, Declan Darcy. Declan, of course, he's been involved with Dublin GA. He works alongside Jim Galvin. What do you hope that he can add to the setup, or what has he added so far?
Well, Declan, yeah, he did a little bit of work with our leaders last year, so it's just evolving really the next phase of that piece. But in terms of, I think he'll, because he'll be more involved here with us this year. We sort of dipped our toe in the water a little bit last year. So, yeah, Declan, as you rightly point out, a huge amount of experience with a very, very successful team, and that I guess that succession piece over time, that continued success. There's very few teams have actually mastered that, and that group were very, very successful. So, he's a wealth of experience, Dec. And as I said, like some of the work he'll do with the individuals, so that observation. So coaches are very much in the moment, but it's who's taking that view from the sidelines. And Dec has a huge amount of experience, as we touched on. So I think he's a really, really important addition for us.
Brilliant. And when you look back at last year and you had time to reflect, could you say any area or reason that you didn't get over the line, or you weren't as successful as you would have liked to have been? I know it's hard to probably pinpoint one thing, but is there an area that you say to yourself, okay, that's something that we can look at?
Yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff. Like, you get to a European Cup final and you're down to the last couple of minutes in your head, so you've clearly done a lot of good things to get to that point, so you're not there by accident. When you lose the game, I think everyone thinks, it's been a catastrophe. But there's definitely parts in the game, and even you could see it with some of the guys even on tour in New Zealand, the adjustments that they make in terms of some of the decision making piece, whether that's the decision making for the team or some of the individual decisions in game as well. So that's a part that it's ever evolving. You have young players coming into the team, you want them to grow, and even the most experienced guys, there's always parts of their game that they can improve and learn. So yeah, there's that part. Definitely, I think at the end of last season, post that, if you think, there was a sort of a little bit of flatness in the air. It was, playing rugby in June. We tried to address that this season. We went on a 12 county tour, Leinster, and we want to connect more with the clubs around the province, because we need to grow that support base all the time. So have we taken our eye off the ball there? Potentially, yeah. We didn't have great crowds in June. It's very unusual for us to play rugby in June, but we won't have it this season, but in future seasons we will. So we want to make sure that we're doing more. COVID has had a huge amount of challenges for everyone, as we well know. So we haven't had any of those open days. So that was one part that we really want to try and address, is trying to get out and connect with the fan base more and spread the connection as wide as possible, ideally. So and we got an amazing response. When we went out to train in the different venues, we hit 12 counties across 2 days, so it was pretty action packed, fairly hectic, but unbelievable responses that we got. So big open session that we had up in Longford in particular, and Kilkenny and Athy the following day. So, but we hit lots of different spots along the way where with great support out and about. So that's a big thing for us as well. Because if this is going to be a thing where we're going to be playing rugby in June, people have certain habits that they go through, and it's definitely something where it led to definitely a bit of flatness, so all across the board. So that's something we've tried to work hard on this pre-season. But again, that's not going to happen overnight, is it? So we need to make sure we try and continue that over the course of the season and beyond that as well.
Brilliant, Ian. Thanks so much. Best of luck for the season.
Thanks, yeah.
Hi Leo, it's Tony Tiger in RTE.
Hi Tony.
I was just wondering how your new new signings have settled in, the likes of Jason Jenkins and Charlie Natai. Do you think so we could see them in Zebre this weekend?
Yeah, well, the two of them played against Harlequins last week, so which was it was a good hit out for us, you know. Harlequins played. They started at the weekend against Newcastle away, so they had a good win there. So, you know, they're probably a little bit ahead of us in terms of their pre-season, getting ready to the season. So for us, with a lot of young guys particularly, with a number of guys come back from injury, and that was pleasing. So it was a decent hit out against quality opposition, number one. Jason and Charlie both got through 40 minutes, which was good to see for them. So they get Leinster jerseys on the back and start to build some of those connections. But yeah, you know, Charlie's got a wealth of experience, different environments, teams that he's been involved in, played with the All Blacks, granted only one cap. You know, he's been away in France over the last number of years, so he's experienced in Europe, so he gets the game there. So he'll hopefully add a lot to the group. As I said, it was a pretty young group that travelled over there, so he's a very, very important voice in that group. Jason missed a lot of pre-season. He had a finger issue when he arrived here, that he needed to get tidied up. So he had a procedure on that, but you know, he'd only started training, as in full team training, the week before the pre-season game. But in terms of physical size, presence, it was great for him just to get 40 minutes under his belt as well. So hopefully he'll push on, the two of them. Again, with the addition of South African teams in the URC, just trying to understand that mindset piece that those teams bring. But again, you know, Jason he's definitely one for the future. I would think Johan, obviously brought him into Munster initially, would not have known Jason well, but definitely he hasn't been overplayed over the last couple of years, but he's definitely one who's there's plenty of ability there.
Are Zebre a difficult team to prepare for in terms of an opening game to the season? You see the amount of ins and outs there over the summer. I think it's 21 in, 26 out, so it's pretty blank canvas over there at the moment.
Yeah, like one of the things is like they've got players that, you know, are committed to Zebre. A lot of young players. They made some signings from overseas as well. Yeah, like we struggled at different stages against Zebre. You know, we played out a 3-0 classic there a few seasons ago. You know, even last year, the game in the RDS, when just looking back, and you know, very aggressive defensively. So it's making sure that we're ready for the threats that they bring. So, and they've had a bit of a disruptive pre-season as well. You know, their game, they were due to play against Cardiff the weekend. I understand they sort of had a training scenario piece instead of the actual game. So yeah, it's been hard to try and get exact footage. So it probably means that we just have to focus a little bit more on ourselves, which is sometimes not a bad thing as well. You can get a little bit bogged down sometimes in the opposition. But we have a fair idea of some of the comings and goings of players that they have, some of the footage from the end of last season as well. But yeah, they're a team we've struggled against in the past. And as I said, like we've plenty of moving parts always to start of the season as well. So, but it's good opportunity for our guys just to showcase what they've done over the course of pre-season.
Leo, it's Don here on audio. Has two ex-Leinster men coming in as coaches made life easier for you?
Yeah, they bring a real pride, you know, because Andrew Goodman, yeah, ex-Leinster player, and yeah, like he's, you know, he has a lot of time for the club, and you know, in terms of getting him here, like it's quite a coup really, like getting a coach out of the Crusaders, very, very successful environment that they have there. So for him to come in, I think is a real coup for everyone here at the club. And yeah, he's passionate about the team. You know, he's excited, nervous about the challenge. And Sean, he's someone who's sort of like a iconic player in many respects. You know, everything that he's achieved in the game, not just with Leinster, with Ireland, and also with the Lions as well. So yeah, like the players are hugely enthused by having the two players there. So hopefully go on to have very, very successful careers in coaching. Obviously with us in the short term, and we'll see where it goes from. But yeah, no, we're very appreciative to have the two lads back in blue.